Welcome everybody to TruExact. So I'm here with Brian, and our special guest tonight is a world champion chess boxer, Matt Thomas. I mean, like, this is something we delved into. I've been texting Brian. I really wanted to delve into this world because I didn't know it existed, and it's really awesome. So Matt, if you don't mind, get into it really quickly how you got into chess and boxing.
Yeah, guys, thanks for having me on. I'm excited to be here. And I love spreading the good word of chess boxing.
Okay.
A weird sport. It's definitely a niche. It combines the board game chess with the combat sport boxing, and it's my favorite thing in the world. So I'm actually from the Northeast too. I was born just outside Philly. Growing up, my mom had me in chess club and had me in martial arts, and they were two of my favorite things from childhood all the way to college. I ended up competing in college in Western style boxing, so just using my fists. And after college is when I first heard that there was a sport called chess boxing. So, these two lifelong passions were combined by someone over in Europe, and I was like, I gotta try this.
That's really cool, man. Now, were you into chess first or boxing first?
Yeah, I think the answer is chess, even though both of them happened right around the same time. I was playing chess with my family. I learned from my dad, then my grandfather. And then I think I was like learning how the pieces moved and how to set up the board and stuff before I was actively in Taekwondo, which was the first martial art that my mom had me in.
That's cool. Brian, go on with the chess comparison.
Well, I think it's very interesting that that chess and boxing get combined like that, because boxing is essentially like a chess game and vice versa. You're thinking about what your opponent's going to do and how you're going to counter it. So it's just that constant back and forth. It's just boxing is more of a physical outcome rather than just knocking over a king or a queen,
No, 100%. And like anticipating your opponent's movements in both expressions is super important. So like if I can see every time you're about to throw a jab, you drop your shoulder, then throw it. Next time you drop your shoulder, I know it's coming, so I can anticipate it, step outside your punch and counter. And it's the same with chess. Like if I know you're going to a certain opening and I know a response to that, well, I can get a few moves ahead and prepare for that opening and get an advantage. And there's a really good example. Like, some people might not see these two things as the same thought process or look at them through the same lens. But I don't know if you guys watch pro boxing. Are you pro boxing fans?
I am. Not like extreme though. Not extreme.
Yeah, so there's a matchup like lightweight division a few weeks ago. It was Luke Campbell versus Ryan Garcia. Ryan's like the next guy for Golden Boy Promotions. He has a personality like Ali, huge following on social media, Instagram, TikTok, the whole deal. He's a star in the making. And they're warming him up to like take bigger and bigger fights. They just announced a fight with him and Pacquiao. So like he's taking on like these old giants that everyone knows as like a passing of the torch kind of thing. But his first real challenge was this British guy named Luke Campbell. He's a southpaw, Olympic gold medalist, went the distance with Lomachenko, and like a really strong opponent for Ryan, his first real test. And a couple big things happened in the matchup. First, Ryan got caught with his first overhand, like, strong punch. So in the second round, he got dropped by Campbell, and everyone freaked out. I was like, oh, this is over. Like, no one's ever dropped Garcia before. How is he going to respond from getting dropped by a legit opponent? And he came back. He had the right mindset. He didn't lose any sort of steam. So it was like the first check mark. The second check mark, and I think the bigger check mark that people aren't talking about as much, is everyone's been scared of a really quick left hook from Ryan Garcia. It's how he's knocked out his last three people. It's the punch that everyone was talking about leading up to the Campbell fight. And for those three people that he knocked out, he lands the left hook right on the chin. So he was showing Campbell this left hook for the first 6 rounds of the fight, showing it to him over and over again. Some went through, some got blocked and caught, some got avoided. But in the 7th round, he faked throwing it to the head, and he threw it right to the liver. And you can see this punch land, ripple through the body, and then it registered on Luke Campbell's face that he just got like a devastating liver shot. He went down, couldn't get back up, and 7th round knockout. So when you look at boxing and you think about chess and how chess is being about a few moves ahead from your opponent or leading someone down, a move train that they think you're going to go down, but then you go a different direction. Ryan throwing that left hook to the head over and over again, showing him what that looked like, showing him what that felt like, and then throwing it to the body is just like the chess move of being like, here's what I'm going to do, and doing something else. And the nice thing is you don't have to make any metaphors about it in chess boxing. They're both right next to each other. You're alternating the rounds between the board game chess and the combat sport boxing until there's either checkmate or knockout. There's always a definitive winner.
I have to say, unbeknownst reasons to the viewers at home, Matt, you're the nicest person of all time. I just have to say that. And you have an awesome chair, by the way. It's a lot better than the stool I'm sitting on. Now, I want to know that, were you like a passive kid or growing up? Because you seem like the nicest dude ever. And is it kind of like a shock for people if you could get that aggressive? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't know. I loved competition growing up, so chess is really intense and like one-on-one. If you ever lost in a chess game,
all the time,
you feel like someone just stole your soul.
Yeah.
Like it's not a good feeling, and I love doing that to other people, and I hate it when it was done to me. So like I like competition. I don't love violence. So what I love about boxing is that there are rules around it. Like I haven't gotten in many fights outside of the ring, but put me in the ring, like I'll beat you in that game. And it's a game. It's not total war. I'm not biting people's ears off. There's nothing like that. It's like, I can score more points than you. I can make you miss, get you frustrated. I can think moves ahead. I can make you think I'm doing one thing and then do something else. Like I like the gamification of it. So, I don't see myself as a mean person, but I do see myself as a competitor.
Good. I'm just so, like, enamored by this world, by the way, because, like, one of my favorite movies ever is Searching for Bobby Fischer, right, with Josh Waitzkin. Yeah. And I've reached out to Josh Waitzkin to try to get him on. No responses, by the way. Yeah, no response.
I want to get a hold of.
Yeah. Hi, I'm a hip-hop podcast. Would you like to come on? No, get the fuck away. So, I want to know, are there chess legends you've studied and boxing legends you've studied, like to mimic your style, if you will?
Yeah, so like a good overlap of the two are the Klitschko brothers. They're Eastern European. They were top of the heavyweight division for like about a decade, like 90s into 2000s. Yeah. And they both play chess. So, they're kind of like a visual expression of the two. And I really like Vladimir's style. So he's a really long fighter. He's an outside fighter. So I like that style of boxing. I love watching Ali. I don't have the natural gifts that he does. I haven't been boxing since I was a kid like he has. So like I have to be a little bit more realistic with my heroes of who I want to emulate. So I like present day. I like Tyson Fury a lot. I think he surprises a lot of people. I'm also not a giant. Like he is. I can't quite like lean on people or surprise people with my footwork because I'm already kind of smaller than him. But yeah, like I'd say Klitschko is a good kind of like a framework to think about chess boxing through. And then on the chess side, the cool thing about chess, actually, have you guys seen Queen's Gambit?
I did, yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So all the games in Queen's Gambit were historical games, all from different masters. And the way that you learn chess is kind of like the way that you learn law. You learn law through like case law, like precedent. So you learn how old cases were actually managed and ruled in order to inform present day law. Yeah, chess is the same way. You learn old games and how to beat certain like movement patterns, and then that informs like current chess strategy. So all the games in Queen's Gambit were historical games. And all the games that I learned growing up were a lot of the same games, and so looking at people like Bobby Fischer or one of the main ones that they focus on in the show was this like really famous like alcohol and drug addict that like wrecked everyone in his time period, and they actually compare her to him in the show. So watching that, like you get a pretty good I guess overview of grandmaster games that are studied to emulate and to learn from.
That's pretty cool, man.
Now, are some of the grandmaster games for chess? Now, are some of them like? Because you said obviously you would study these games. You know, you watch it, you memorize the moves, and you kind of try to implement them in your own games that you have. Now, the people that were truly like the ones that started that, like, you know what I'm saying? Like the first ones, like Muhammad Ali was the first of his kind. You know what I'm saying? Like, is there someone comparable in chess like that it's like they weren't copying anyone else? They were just coming up with these game strategies that you're like, where is this coming from?
Yeah, I think the answer might surprise you, but it's when everything changed for chess was the computer. So like humans are limited in our ability to calculate. Yeah. Computers can do it almost endlessly. So you give a computer enough time, they can calculate through every possible move and counter move. And so when the computer came into play in the 90s, and IBM built a supercomputer specifically designed for chess, everything changed. The way people study chess changed. The way people regulate chess tournaments changed. Because you could go to the bathroom and you could calculate your next 15 moves by cheating. And there's a lot of cheating in chess that has come up since the advent of technology. You know, you wear a wearable device. If you program the display to be able to show you like just letters and numbers, that can translate to chess algebra, like the algebraic, like pawn to e4, knight to f3, like that like how you move, and like that changed everything. So now when people study, they're studying 15, 16, 17, 18 moves into a chess game and just having it completely memorized. They know what the best move is, so they don't have any kind of variation. They know their opening. As soon as their opponent responds, they know into the mid game what the most optimal like movement pattern is.
And see, you have all those calculations going. Now, after you get punched a couple times and you're winded, how in the world do you sit down and figure out like, okay, here's my move?
That's the trick, right? That's the sport, really. So a lot of people ask, like, hey, would you rather be a better chess player or boxer? Hey, who wins more often? Is it on the chessboard or is it in the boxing ring? And the answer is they both lean on each other so much that you really can't separate them. But the messing someone up in the ring and then checkmating them on the board is the most common outcome. So about 80% of chess boxing matches are won on the board. And it's because of the scenario you just laid out. The other person might be a better chess player, and one of my past matches is like this. But because his heart rate was high, his adrenaline was high, and he wasn't focused on the board, he makes a big mistake. And then you can use that one mistake to turn the tides in your favor and snowball and crush them, even though they're better than you. And that's the beautiful thing about the sport is there isn't one specific build that beats everyone.
Right.
Like you need a combination of the two, and it's all about how you use that combination to see who comes out on top.
What if Mike Tyson got into it and he decided that he was just I'm gonna move my pawn here and then get up and I'm gonna pummel you to death?
Yeah, you need to. If you were up against Mike Tyson in a chess boxing tournament, you need to know that that's going to happen.
Yeah,
you need to train that. You need to train for that. So, like, hey, how do you stay away from someone? Right. How do you jab and stay away? How do you wrap up? How do you eat up time in the ring? And there are specific strategies in chess boxing where it's like, if I know I'm against someone that's a much better chess player, if I'm Mike Tyson in that scenario. Mm-hmm. I curl up into a little ball on the chessboard. I make it really hard for you to take any of my pieces. It's hard for me to win. I'm not being aggressive at all. I'm not taking pieces, but I'm just making it really slow for you to win, to give myself as much time in the ring to beat the hell out of you as I can.
Yeah.
Now, you hear growing up all the time with like middle school and stuff, brain over brawn. But I have to ask, what's more satisfying, knocking a person out or beating them on the chessboard in the match?
I mean, the answer is both, and chess boxing is the only place where you can do that.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's the answer. But no, I think for me, I like winning in chess more. It feels more.
It's more of an intellectual victory. Like I outthought you. You know.
Yeah, and I'll have that skill set for longer. You know, a lot of boxing power and technique is tied to youth and honing those things, like a lot of training. Whereas chess, I'll be playing chess in a retirement home, you know, or on my private island, wherever I end up. It's
knocking people out.
I was gonna say, then he'll be taking out the gloves and be like, "Somebody want to play?"
Hey, I want to know too, which I'm really interested in, because like I get it is a growing sport and whatnot. When you found this out, what was the popularity like here, and where is it at now, and how's it growing?
Yeah, so I'll go ahead and tell that story of how I found out about the sport. I was an amateur boxer in college, so I was competing for University of Georgia. I was fighting other kids from other schools, and in my first sanctioned amateur boxing bout, not against another student, but just like in a regular tournament, I dislocated my shoulder in the first round. Came out, tried to put it back in, wouldn't go back in by the end of the standing 8 count. So they sent me over to the doctor. It came back in on my way over to the doctor. The doctor checked me out, let me continue. I got my ass handed to me for the rest of the first round. But in the second, third round, my opponent got really tired. He started leaving openings. I started coming back. I knocked him down twice in the third round, and I ended up winning my fight. So I had this like crazy experience where it's like I came back from this kind of injury. I proved a lot of things to myself. I was like, I don't quit. I'm a fighter. Like, you know, it helped like kind of build confidence and momentum in the sport. But one negative thing that it did is it really messed up the shoulder. And I had to get shoulder surgery to repair it. So I was recovering for about 6 months. In the first 6 weeks, you're pretty much in bed. For this kind of surgery that I had, and you're in this like kind of like straight arm brace. So I was in bed watching Netflix, you know, on YouTube, you know, playing online chess because I love chess, and a video on my YouTube sidebar auto plays. Like the next up was a chess boxing video. So like I'm not really paying attention, but like I hear, you know, like the combination of them commentating chess moves and then them beating the hell out of each other. I was like, what is going on here? Like this has got to be like a joke, like it's an SNL skit or something. Right. And I look at it, I was like, no, like it's a packed house in London, and like, you know, they're actually playing chess and boxing at the same, you know, in tandem. And so I start watching like every video I can find about it. I start reading every article, and I track down who the founder of chess boxing was. Wow. A guy named Ipe Rumbing. He's a Dutch guy. And he was based in Germany, which is where chess boxing is based. Chess boxing was really big in Europe, just starting in Asia, and no one in the United States was really doing it yet. So, so I reach out to this guy. I'm like, hey, like these are two of my favorite things. I'd love to be involved somehow. And I was already promoting boxing events. Like it was my job. So I started promoting fights in college. I started a nonprofit called Brawl For that does charity boxing events, and that turned into my career. And so I was like, if you need help bringing it over here, like I'm a promoter. Like I can plan events. I can like put it together. And he says, I'd love to do that someday. Let's get you involved in it first. Like let me know when you want to fight, and I'll find you a match. I said, okay. I get healthy. Like a year and a half later, I reach back out to him. I'm like, hey, I'm ready. Like I want to do this. And he's like, the only event that we have left this year is the Chess Boxing World Championship in Calcutta, India.
Do it. Awesome. Wow. That's awesome.
I was like, no. like how fast? Like I want to experience this, but I also want to like survive.
Right.
Yeah.
Like I'm not gonna go against the best people in the world at this, and he was like,
"You're a better man than me. I would have taken that invite and went over there and got knocked the fuck out. I would have been like that."
Let me try this new sport out with the best.
Yeah. Get knocked out.
Yeah. So what he told me next is what ended up hooking me, which was no American has ever competed in the World Championship.
Oh.
So if I did it, I'd be the first. I was like, all right.
You have to. That's
I'll go be the sacrificial lamb, get my ass knocked out. And
he knew exactly what to say to an American to get him there. Only people from America. You'd be like, hey, you'll be the first American to ever step your foot in lava. Oh, shit, I'll do it.
Sign me up. Yeah, so, I slept on it, and the next morning I was like, I'm all in. I'm going to train my ass off. I'm going to do my best. If I get knocked out, whatever. I'm the first American to ever do this. And I really wanted the sport to grow in the United States. I thought it would be a really good market for it. I thought a lot of people out there are like me, that like combat sports, at least as a fan, and like chess, at least as like playing it growing up. Like a lot of people like at least learn how the pieces move growing up. So I thought that there was like enough of a community or potential fighters in the States for it to be successful. So it's like, even if I get knocked out, even if I embarrass myself, people will tell the story and it'll start to spread. So I set up my life to be able to do an 8-week fight camp. The only time in my life where I've ever been able to like treat myself like a pro athlete, where all I was focusing on was becoming a weapon in mind and body to go over to Calcutta, India to do this thing. And on my very first day of training, my chess coach teaches a lot of the chess clubs in town and had a summer camp for 8 to 12-year-olds, like competitive chess players. So he was like, your first day of training, you're going to come like play all these kids. I was like, all right, bring them on. Like these.
Did you bring the gloves too?
No.
Too.
Probably could have given them gloves and let them just like, start throwing punches. That probably would have helped. But he sat me down in the middle of the room and started with the 12-year-olds, but had every single kid play me. And we were doing a style of chess called blitz chess, which is time control.
Yeah.
So every time I make a move, I have to hit my timer. Now your timer's counting down. You make a move, you hit your timer, my timer's counting down. And we go back and forth like that until the game clock runs out for one of us. And whoever it runs out for loses. So if there isn't checkmate, there's a definitive winner because someone runs out of time. So I hadn't played timed chess since I was a kid, since I was like 11, like their age. So we start playing blitz chess. I'm getting checkmated or my time is running out every single game. And we go from like 12-year-olds to 11-year-olds, 11-year-olds to 10-year-olds, 10-year-olds to 9, 8. I get through every kid in the room except for one, and I've lost every game.
Wow. Not
a single kid has like messed up enough or taken enough time in moving for me to have like any sort of chance. And the last kid is this like ADD 8-year-old, like watching other games while we're playing. I'm like, this is it. Like, I'll get this one. And I'm like winning on time. I'm like getting the hang of this. And I hang my king, which means like I leave a checkmate wide open. Right. And the kid like refocuses, finds the move, and checks me. I was like, not even the last one. Like I lost to every single kid in this camp. I go to my coach. I was like, listen, man, I got to take a little break. I go out to my car in the parking lot, and I cry in my car.
That's like me at middle school dances or high school dances when I got denied the fucking slow song.
It felt like that. It was like I just announced to everyone in my life, my family, my friends, all the people in the Brawl For a Cause community that have fought in my events or come to my events. I was like, I'm going to be the first American to represent our country in the chess boxing world championship. And then I go the next day to this kid's camp and I can't beat anyone. Like, it was humiliating.
It might have been the best thing for you. It might have been the best thing, though. Yeah. Honestly, like, because when you leave that, you have to get better after that. There's no more coming back, you know?
That's the right attitude. That night I wanted to quit. Like, I went to bed being like, tomorrow I'm waking up and telling everyone I'm not doing this. But the next day I was like, you know what? I have 8 weeks. If I get my ass kicked every day by these kids for 8 weeks, I'll at least get better. Right. If I get checkmated instead of knocked out, maybe that's not such a bad thing. So I just kept going back. And like the secret to life, you ready? Everyone listening, secret to life. There is no substitute for time input and repetitions. You want to get better at anything? Just do the work. Like there's no shortcuts. There's no secrets. The secret is just put time in and get as many reps as you can. You want to be a great podcaster? Host a lot of podcast shows. You want to be great at chess? Play a lot of chess games. Like there's no way around that. And you look at all the greats. You look at how many times Jordan sat there and shot free throws.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know, like it's the same across the board. Natural talent goes a long way, but what takes it all the way to greatness is that hard work.
Basically, there's never losing. There's only learning. That's what I say.
100%.
I'll tell you what, if they ever make a movie about your experience going into this,
I can play.
that would be, I can see how that scene plays out, like where you first show up and you get beat by all the kids. You go out to the car, you're like, oh my God, I'm so defeated. And then that like 35-second montage of you going back and beating each one of the kids. Like, yeah.
It's like the Crossfire commercial.
Slamming your last piece, and then you get on the plane to Calcutta.
That would be my version of a Rocky montage. I think you're right. Like
I wanted to ask,
chopping wood.
I wanted to ask that because you're from Northeast Philadelphia, right? You said, like, did Rocky have anything to do with you boxing, like the movie or anything? Yes? Okay.
No, my mom had a crush on Stallone her whole life. And so there's a Rocky poster above my crib that, like, I was, like, raised on Rocky movies.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, for sure. That was a seed that was planted in my head early in life.
Now, being from the Northeast as we are, like, it's a little more aggressive we get. So when you move down south and now, were you a little, like, faster moving and, like, a little more aggressive? They're like, calm the fuck down, man. Or did you fit in very well?
Yeah, I mean, that style kind of benefited me in competition type stuff. And I think in, like, interpersonal skills, like just communication.
Yeah.
But I had to learn the Southern way too. And maybe that's a little bit more of a chess approach, maybe, of like the passive aggression of like, good luck, sir. Good luck to you too. Okay, now I'm gonna like steal your soul on the board.
I'm gonna let you up. Yeah. But that's always so beneficial. I say that to so many people. Anyone that I talk to that's from anywhere else in the country, it's like you don't understand being from the Northeast, like New Jersey, Philadelphia, New York, this area. It really puts you at such an advantage over a lot of people because, number one, you're able to sniff out bullshit real quick. Right. All the time, because this is the land of con artists and scumbags, everything like that. But secondly, you're just on your toes with everything. With like, okay, where's this? We're moving, going. As opposed to other places where they're a little bit more reserved. You know, they're more courteous, I guess you could say the word is, more manners. Whereas here, you know, the light turns green and at 0.001 seconds, someone's already laying on their horn.
Yeah. Yo, and the other thing to consider there is like, we get stronger through struggle, right? Like adversity helps, like equip armor. There's something about overcoming trials that makes us more capable. And I think that there are a lot of places in the Northeast that are just harder places to live. Yeah. That have harder people in them because they're hard places to live. You look at big cities. You look at places that are super cold. Like you guys are having a snowstorm right now. Yeah. It was like 70 here yesterday. Yeah. It's like, it's a lot nicer living here. I'm not going to, you can like have hometown pride and whatever. Like we're from here, but like straight up, like Florida's a nicer place to live than anywhere in the Northeast. And that's why everyone retires there.
But see, here's the difference, Matt. You could say that, but if someone you met said that, no, they can't say that. So, you know what I mean? It's like
you're not allowed. You're not from up here.
Well, and that's the other piece of it, right? Is like think of any team you've been on with like a coach that's an asshole. Because that coach is an asshole, it bonds you together.
Yeah.
Your hometown is your coach. Your coach is an asshole. And all of you are like, we love our asshole because that shared hardship, you overcame it together. You know?
Yeah. I'll talk shit about Jersey all the time, but if you're not from New Jersey, you better not talk shit about New Jersey.
Yeah.
It's not your place to do. Matt, I want to ask, what happened in Calcutta? Did you what was your placing? How did it work?
Yeah, so I got pretty lucky. So I had a road to the championship that was lined with Indians, like legit Indians. And because we were in India, most of the competitors were Indians. Mm-hmm. And a lot of the Indians were either really out of shape, or if they were in shape, they had no idea how to play chess. Mm-hmm. Wow. So, yeah, I had a lot of tune-up kind of fights where I showed up and I had never chess boxed someone. I showed up to the World Championship having never actually played chess and boxed against the same person because there's no one in the United States to do it with.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
My first couple matches were I kind of had the right people to be able to fight and figure this out on the fly. It was kind of like jumping off a cliff and building the contraption that made me fly on the way down, building my wings, right? So first couple matches were against all Indians, and I went over there while I was training. I recruited another American to come over there with me, this guy named Kevin from Kansas. So Kevin and I went over there, and we called ourselves the Cowboys because all of our early matches were against Indians. So we were coming out of the ring
right. No, I got you.
Each other. that was our name. So I built up some confidence, some momentum, and some know-how of before I got to my challenging matches in the semifinals and finals. I had some I didn't feel like a complete beginner anymore. And then semifinals, I fought this guy in the Army. He had 7 years more boxing experience than I had, and he was decent at chess. And that was the first time where I was okay, we're pretty much even on chess, and he's pretty good at boxing. And my one saving grace was he blundered his queen. The most powerful piece on the board, he basically just gave me in the third round. So after that, I could just be a little bit more aggressive, and he fell apart. My final match was awesome because it showcases one of my favorite things about chess boxing. I was getting beat on the board in the first round, and I got beat in the ring in the second round by this 35-year-old guy who had been boxing his whole life, was coaching his chess boxing team on how to box, and who was just as good as me at chess. So I wasn't the favorite. He was supposed to kick my ass, and he did kick my ass the whole second round, the boxing round, until the last 10 seconds. And he let his left hand down. I caught him with a right hook right above his eye, right on his temple. Mm-hmm. And I saw his eyes go. I saw him shake and then kind of phase out. And the bell rung right after. I was I got beat that round, but I got one punch that mattered. And it landed at the right time because he staggered off to his corner. I went off to mine, got my gloves off, sat back down on the board, and started studying the board. And he came as the bell was ringing for the chess round to start. He sits down and he moves the wrong colored piece.
Yeah, I saw that. Man. Yeah.
So I was oh my God, he's still messed up from this one punch that I landed in the last round. So I was this is my shot. If I have a shot at all of winning this match and winning the world championship, it's right now. So every single move I made was super fast, that Northeast style, fast and aggressive. I was moving fast. I was hitting my timer. I was come on. Don't waste time because I don't want another boxing round with you. I want to end it right now. And 30 seconds before the end of the round, I ended up checkmating him. And
that's awesome.
It was surreal to think one, not only is it cool to win something like that for your country and everything else, but every single one of my matches in the World Championship was won by checkmate. And you look at my first day of training, I couldn't beat children. You know, so for that 8 weeks of I was spending 6 to 8 hours a day until my brain was completely exhausted trying to cram chess back into my head and shake off the rust from playing chess as a kid. And it ended up paying off.
I want to touch on too, because a lot of people, you're a younger guy than us, and I find myself like in awe when people like you start charities, even before they were really big. What was the Brawl for Cause? Like, was there like a certain initiative behind it and why you started it? Did something happen or anything?
Yeah. So what happened was I got really into boxing, and I wanted a tournament or an event that wasn't a bunch of people that had been fighting since they could walk, coming in and killing people like me that were doing it as a hobby. Mm-hmm. So I started an event at University of Georgia where only students could compete. So there were some students that were a lot more experienced that were like in ROTC and had like, like that kind of like armed forces kind of combat training, and some people that were like martial artists growing up and like, they had like a experience but in a different style. And I kind of fell into that category. But then there were people that like had never done either and just wanted to get in a fight. And so we like I created the first event and kind of put those people against each other. Like we had like the Army Navy kind of fights where the different ROTC kids would go off against each other. We had the like, other kinds of experience or like good athletes kind of one. And then we just had like frat guys that like didn't train at all and like, would shotgun a beer before they got in. Like, like a Barstool's Rough and Rowdy kind of.
Right, yeah.
So it started out like that, and honestly, it was a nonprofit because, or it was a charity boxing event because I was involved with a charity that I cared about on campus, that I needed to raise money for, and that I really cared about. But I also learned through being in that charity that it's so much easier to get sponsorships and sell tickets and everything if you're doing it for a good cause.
Right.
So I was like, I want this boxing thing to happen. It's going to be more successful and do good if we do it through charity. So just like threw them together. I was a 20-year-old kid, and I started selling out like music venues, and then like bigger bars and like clubs, and then like hotel ballrooms. And then the last couple events we've done were in Mercedes-Benz Stadium, where the Super Bowl was in 2018, and the Georgia World Congress Center, where all the big like conventions are in Atlanta. And so like this model just kind of like grew up as I grew up. Like it wasn't like frat stars beating the crap out of each other with no training anymore. Like we started doing a 90-day program where CEOs and celebrities could learn how to defend themselves and throw a punch and train to fight for the very first time and choose a charity that was important to them or their family or their company or whatever to be able to benefit as they track their journey to the ring. So, like you're training for your first fight ever, your friends are going to be into that. They're going to be like, my friend's either going to get their ass kicked or they're going to kick some ass. Either way, I'm in. Because, one, it's my friend, and two, it's for charity. And you start to get some people that are like, celebrities or influencers or whatever. The scope for that person is a lot bigger. It's not just their friends or their coworkers. It's like there's people all over the world that would love to see this person do that. So what we're transitioning into now is what you're starting to see in like mainstream like influencer culture too, with like the Paul brothers calling out Mayweather and McGregor and whoever else. Like we're going to be doing like influencer fight nights now.
Well, if you ever need TruExact to step in the ring, I gladly will, Matt.
Let's go.
No. I'm not at all. I'll play chess. I'll be in the corner coaching someone if they want. I've learned a lot from Rocky IV. Listen to my impression. Ready? This is supposed to be an exhibition. You like that? No?
Pretty good.
Thank you. Thank you. That's the best I got.
I was in a fraternity in college, and my pledge name was Drago.
Nice.
So I had to stand up in front of my fraternity and give an obituary for Apollo Creed. I had to publicly apologize for killing him.
I've been waiting for that.
Russian accent. If he dies, he dies.
I've been waiting for that for 40 years, and I need to hear it. God damn it. I'm glad someone finally apologized. I have one more question. I'll go to Brian, though, if he's got anything first.
Oh, no, I don't have anything.
All right, one more. Where are we at with the chess thing, the chess boxing? And is it like an Olympic sport? Are you presented? We had Florian Kohler on, who's a billiard trick shot guy, and he said that they presented it to the Olympic Committee and it didn't get passed. They went with like breakdancing instead. I don't know if it's an Olympic sport. I haven't read it was. Is it close? Are you trying to do it? How's that working?
Yeah, so there's a couple of ways to become an Olympic sport, and maybe he talked a little bit about this. But one, the first and the best way is each host city gets to pick one sport that's featured in that year's Olympics.
Wow.
And that's like the easiest way in, because all you have to do is convince the Olympic Committee for that year to be like, this is our one that we pick.
And it could be anything. It could be anything. It could be like dog racing or flexing, anything.
It has to meet some prerequisites, but like any legitimate sport is going to meet those, right? So like it can't be like, you know, watch this guy stand on one foot or something, you know, like
rats, I'm out.
Yeah, it has to be a sport. It has to have a following, like, and most of these like host cities or countries pick sports that are culturally relevant to them. So like if you're in Scandinavia, they're going to pick like a weird ice sport that we haven't heard of, but that they're good at. And and you need at least like some percentage of countries that compete in the Olympics. It needs to be like a sport that they would be able to submit a team to. So the first thing that we're focused on with chess boxing is have enough major countries adopt it as a youth sport, because youth sports generally lead to amateur sports, and the Olympics is technically an amateur competition. So you look at the Olympics, you don't see any pro boxers competing.
Right.
It's all amateurs. So like we're creating youth programs around the world, and the biggest ones right now are in India and Russia. And then we're trying to get more awareness for our like exhibition, like pro kind of circuit. So there's like an event coming up in Helsinki. There's a lot of events that happen in Paris and London.
Right.
And so like the more of like an audience we can build for, the more we can make a case to a committee of like, hey, this will be cool. People will watch it. You'll get ad revenue, and there's enough countries competing in it to where like you can actually have competition from different sports. So the short answer is no, we aren't an Olympic sport. The longer answer is that it'll take us a while to get there, realistically, just because like building up a sport from the ground up, like eBay created this sport in 2003. Wow. Sport's only 18 years old.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, it wouldn't even be in college yet. You know, so like it's got to get some more steam before like, you know, breakdancing really didn't become a thing until like 80s, right?
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, so like think about the equivalent, right? Like maybe in 15 years we'll be where breakdancing is.
Right. No, that's cool, man. All right, man. I know you're busy, so we're gonna get to our final segment here, and then we'll let you go. We do a gun to your head segment. We ask 2 questions each. All right, not literally, Matt. So we ask 2 questions each, and you got to pick a winner of the best. You answer the question, and then you have to pick a winner of your favorite question. You ready?
Oh, you're making me pick favorites?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
This is pretty intense.
Sport.
We keep scoring. This is our like 88th, 90th episode, so we have a tally going on. You ready for this?
Wow. Okay. All right.
First,
Go.
would you rather box Mike Tyson for your life or play Josh Waitskin at chess for your life?
Wow, that's a great question.
Thank you.
So I lose the chess match to Josh, I die.
Yes.
Well, definitely Mike Tyson.
You take your chances in the ring. I like that. I like that.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I die. Even if he doesn't kill me in the ring, I die?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm screwed either way, but yeah, I'd still take Tyson.
I agree, because one punch, you never know. You know what I mean? Buster Douglas did it.
Exactly. Yep.
So, all right. Would you rather play baseball with a boxing glove or box with a baseball glove?
Okay, would I rather play baseball with a boxing glove? So when they pitch, I'm trying to punch the ball?
You got to play like field with a boxing glove, like a ground ball.
Oh, okay. Or box with a baseball glove.
Might be my best question of all time.
You say that for everyone.
I would rather play baseball with a boxing glove.
Okay, that's
I think the reason why you have gloves in boxing is so you don't break your hand.
Yeah.
Right? So, like, you punch with something that isn't made to be punched with, you're probably breaking your wrist or your hand. So, yeah, I'd do that.
Brian, you're up.
All right. Would you rather play a game of chess not being able to use your knights, or would you rather get knighted?
Wait, knighted like
Sir
Knighted
Matt
from the
Thomas.
Queen. Sir Matt Thomas.
Oh, I'd rather be knighted.
That'd be so
Of course,
cool.
it wouldn't be.
Yeah. Sir Tom, yeah, that's a bucket list item. I don't know how that's ever going to happen, but
Now I got another Tyson related one because Scott had a Tyson one. Would you rather take a right hook from Mike Tyson or eat 100 Tyson chicken nuggets?
Ugh. I'll take the hook to the face. That's a lot of chicken nuggets.
Oh my God, so nuggets, man.
You got a glass jaw, Brian.
Like how many hormones am I pumping into my body if I eat
So much.
Don't forget, he has to train. He can't eat 100 chicken nuggets. Those 8 and 12-year-olds will be laughing at him as he comes stumbling into the thing. All right, Matt, what was your favorite question? You got to pick a winner.
Okay, the funniest one was the one that just happened with Brian. The one that made me think the most was the Washkin Tyson one where I would die.
What do you call it, a tie?
Funny or thoughtful?
You know, we'll call it a tie. I'm okay with that.
I'm okay with that.
I'm okay with that.
Right, I feel like I'm counting out a little bit with that, but I generally like both of those questions the most.
You know what? Sometimes you got to put your ego aside, like I do all the time, and you just have to go with a tie. I want to know though, Matt, before we go, where can we catch you? Instagram and your shirt. Where can I buy that? If you got a store or anything?
Yeah.
Yeah, so this was a gift from an international master named Lena. So shout out to her.
Cool. I'll contact her.
And then I'm at Moving with Matt on Instagram and on Twitch. I stream chess and fitness on Twitch, so check me out there. If you want to learn more about chess boxing, it's at chessboxing_official. So you can check out some other chess boxers and when events are happening and that kind of thing. And I have no idea where you buy this shirt, but
Find it somewhere.
Good luck. Yeah, you can find it.